This is that time of the year where you are wondering what's going to happen in the next year and how you should be planning your digital transformation initiatives. And that's exactly what we are going to discuss in this video, the top 15 trends driving digital transformation in 2025. So let's dive in.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our number one priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sam Gupta. I am principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent buy-side technology advisory firm. We help our clients with enterprise technology selection, implementation, change management, and overarching digital transformation strategy. On that note, let's go back to today's topic, which is going to be the top 10 trends driving digital transformation trends in 2025. Before we look at the list, let's look at how these trends are going to be beneficial and who is the audience for these trends. So there are going to be two or three different audience types. Number one is if you are the end user, the companies that are taking digital transformation journey and any sort of changes that you are going to make in your enterprise architecture, or if you are buying any enterprise software categories, then you need to know how you should be planning if there are going to be any changes overall from the enterprise software marketplace. The other audience that is relevant for this conversation is the product teams at the enterprise software vendors. They also need to decide their roadmap, so it's going to be beneficial for them as well. And now, if you are either executives or the consultant, you need to be planning your career. If there are going to be any changes with the product strategy, that impacts your career as well. So that is probably going to be the third audience. Just to set the expectation, we publish these trends every year. We had published last year as well. So if you want to go back and check what we had discussed last year, the video is going to be available on YouTube. Also, generally, we have a blog that we publish along with the video. So you might want to go back and check that. Now, let's look at the overarching theme with the changes that we have seen from 2024 to 2025. And overarchingly speaking, there have been some major trends in general. The reason for that is if you look at the global economy and the global marketplace, there have been a lot of changes from the election perspective, especially in the US. The administration has changed, and the policy changes from the US is probably going to drive the global economies. So that is going to be a major theme overall. The other changes that we have in the market is the last 4 years, if you really analyze, it's been challenging for the overarching market. In general, the ERP market or the enterprise software market is going to be fundamentally driven by any of the macroeconomic variables, and they drive the overall the enterprise software ERP market a lot. So now in 2025, there is some excitement. Even with 2025, the H1 is probably going to be slower just because the interest rates have come down recently, and they do take some time to take effect before you are going to see the real changes in your sales pipeline. And once that changes, then companies are going to feel a little bit more confident in spending money or taking any sort of risky long-term projects. And the majority of the enterprise software projects, unless you are buying a SaaS application, they are going to fall under that risky disruptive category. And that's why the CFOs and the financial executives are going to be slightly conservative with their investment. And that's why you are not seeing a lot of projects in the past. You might not be able to see as many in the first half of the next year, but most likely in H2, depending upon how things go with the new administration, you might see some changes in the marketplace. The momentum is going to be there. So overall, 2025 is going to be slightly more exciting. Now, the comparing the previous administration with the new administration, overall, from the policy perspective, the new administration is going to be slightly friendlier for the businesses. But then there are also going to be other factors such as your tariffs, and they are slightly inflationary. So that is going to counterbalance any of the changes that the new administration is going to make. So overall, we don't know at this point of time whether it is going to be a net positive gain or the market may feel that it's net negative. But overarchingly speaking, right now, if you analyze the market momentum, the market confidence, they are still very confident with the new administration, and hopefully, that momentum continues even in 2025. So you are going to see the momentum, and because of that, the entire enterprise software market is probably going to be driven. Now, the other factors that we have overall from the policy differences perspective is the previous administration wasn't as friendly for the larger deals. And that larger deals, they are going to drive the enterprise software market. There were major consolidations that did not go through just because the regulatory bodies, they didn't allow that. But in 2025, most likely they are going to go through. So that's also going to change the overarching enterprise software market. That is going to have impact on your business processes. It may also have impact on your enterprise architecture. Now, considering all of these layers, we are going to analyze every single trend that we have on this list in terms of what we are going to notice in 2025. So now let's look at the list. Number one on our list is AI augmented agents and AI governance platforms. So AI augmented agents, even though some of the mid-market customers might feel that AI is probably not going to be as relevant for them. But for the most part, if you look at the AI use cases, we are already seeing some of those use cases, at least in the enterprise marketplace, and that is going to dictate the overarching customer experience as well as the employee experience. And some of the use cases where you are going to see a lot more AI agents is going to be in the customer service workflows. And that's where that's going to drive the changed business workflows for a lot of different companies. And based on these AI agents, you are going to see changes in the majority of the enterprise software categories. They are going to be embedded as part of each of those categories. From the end user perspective, you might not see as much difference, but where you are going to see the difference from the AI agents perspective is that your experience is probably going to change. You might feel that now the software may be slightly easier to use. You had a lot of different automated workflows inside the software. Now those workflows are going to be slightly more intelligent, and they might be able to mimic the activities that humans were performing. Again, the humans are not going to be replaced. Their responsibility is going to change, but you are going to see a lot more of these AI agents embedded as part of the enterprise software categories. Now, why are AI agents so hot overall in the marketplace? Number one, if you look at the overarching confidence, of the enterprise software categories as well as the investors, there is a real price pressure because of the slowdown in the economy. Maybe in 2025 that might not be there, but for the most part, because of that price pressure, because of that revenue pressure, the investors need to find new ways of justifying their price tag. Otherwise, the customers are going to ask to reduce, their licensing pricing, and obviously, the enterprise software vendors are seeking ways how they can justify their price tag, and that's where sort of AI agent kind of fit in. We don't have the use cases at this point of time that can provide us the confidence that these AI agents are going to have the tangible business value. But for the most part, based on the money flow in the market and the investor confidence, we are going to have something come out of it. So AI agents are definitely going to be the near term trend overall. Now, because of these AI agents, what you are going to observe in the marketplace is that there are going to be new categories of the software that are going to be launched. Number one, the auditability of these AI agents, the collaboration, the orchestration, because each of these AI agents are going to mimic the human-centric workflow, and now you would require some sort of accountability, maintainability, as well as you need to be able to debug these workflows as well. So that's where these new category of software are going to be. So that's number one. Now, number two on our list is ChatGPT induced revised search patterns and consumer behavior. Overall, because of ChatGPT, there is a lot of pressure on the existing search players. For example, Google. Google was slightly late overall in terms of their ChatGPT capabilities, generative AI capabilities, and now a lot of search traffic is probably going to move to these ChatGPT platforms. As of today, the ChatGPT is primarily subscription based, but they are also launching their search engines, and they have to still figure out how they are going to monetize, how advertising component is going to be embedded as part of their workflows. So based on these changes, you are going to see a lot more changes in the search patterns because once they figure out, okay, how they are going to monetize. For example, let's say if you analyze the traditional search workflows, you had many different links, but in the new world of ChatGPT, you just have one link recommendation from the ChatGPT. I don't know whether you have noticed this on Google or not. Even Google is sort of providing the AI recommendation as the first link on Google now. But now the challenge that they are going to run into is that if people don't review any other search results that are going to be further down on the page, then how are they going to monetize? The ads are probably not going to be effective if that happens. So now they have to figure out, okay, how they are going to embed these monetization workflows, because that is going to impact their revenue. So overarchingly, there are going to be a lot of changes overall in the search market. The market share is going to shift to the newer players because the newer players, the users are going to move to the newer search engines that are going to be slightly more generative AI or ChatGPT based. Right now, they are trying to capture the market share. So that's why they are not as worried about the monetization aspect. So depending upon how the market dynamics move, we might see a lot of changes, and that is going to drive changes in your enterprise software categories as well, especially your digital channels, because this is going to be the new consumer behavior. And based on that, now e-commerce workflows are going to change. Based on that, your transactions are going to change, and that may have impact on your business processes as well. And then your enterprise software vendors need to adopt those new consumer behaviors. So that's number two. Number three on our list is continued consolidation of the enterprise software industry. So overall, this trend was very prevalent in 2024, which is also going to be prevalent in 2025. Just because the market is not back up completely, it's not a growth market at this point of time. There's a possibility that it might become growth market probably in H2. But for the most part, because of that, the investors are going to look for the financial synergies across different categories to be able to meet their revenue objectives, and that is going to drive this consolidation. So number one thing that you need to understand is first type of consolidation that you might be able to see in the market is the larger vendors are going to acquire different categories. So each of the suite that we have in the market, whether you talk about ERP suite, CRM suite, analytics suite, any of the supply chain suites, so all of these suites are going to become much thicker overall in terms of their scope and the functionality that they are going to have. So any of the SaaS application that you might be utilizing at this point of time, they might be consumed, they might be decommissioned by these larger vendors. So you need to analyze that risk. Okay, what is going to happen to these vendors if you might be utilizing any of those apps at this point of time? And you also need to analyze this from the enterprise architecture perspective. If you are going to have the overlap, how you are going to have clarity in your architecture because of these consolidation issues. And the another factor that you need to consider is going to be the changes in pricing and the product strategy, as well as sometimes support because of these acquisitions, especially if these acquisitions are going to be from the family owned business to a private equity. That may be a major transition for the majority of the software vendors. Our customers generally tell us that they have experienced substantial transition overall in terms of getting the support, the kind of friendliness that they might experience while working with any of the family owned software companies. That's going to be a substantially different experience with the private equity companies. So that's where your risk is going to be. And that's number three. Number four on our list is cloud SaaS expense reduction and SaaS licensing pricing pressure. And now this trend is going to be relevant more from the price increase perspective. The SaaS vendors are going to find ways of increasing the pricing. We have seen this trend in 2024 as well, where vendors such as your Smartsheet or ActiveCampaign, they changed their pricing strategy overall. And sometimes, I mean, in cloud, since the control is now with the vendors, they are going to make very minor changes in their tiers, and that could have substantial impact on your total cost of ownership and the annual amount that you are going to pay. So you need to pay attention to that in terms of which kind of software categories that you have in your architecture at this point of time, and if there are going to be any sort of changes from the pricing perspective, how that might impact you. Now, this trend is also applicable from the end user perspective as well. If you are manufacturer, distributor, any of the industrial companies that are going to be the consumer of these software, since you have revenue pressure as well, so you are going to have a lot of cost pressure. And because of that, your executives are going to ask you to find ways to reduce that expense. And because of that, the enterprise software vendors are going to get further pressure on their revenue. So these two trends might affect overall price pressure, and the enterprise software vendors are going to find creative ways of increasing pricing, but the customers are looking to reduce that. So these two trends are going to be together, and because of that, you are going to see a lot of changes in the marketplace, at least from the pricing licensing perspective. So keep an eye on that, and that's number four. Number five on our list is surge in M&A activities and deal flow. So overall, in 2024, the confidence wasn't there in the market. That's why the deal flow wasn't as much, which is going to increase in 2025. Now, because of that deal flow, the majority of the large transformation initiatives, because when the company structure, organizational structure is going to change, because now these deals are going to go through, so the companies are going to be slightly more excited in pursuing these deals. And because of that, the enterprise software market, the ERP market, is going to have substantial impact. We are going to see a lot more projects in general from the ERP perspective, and because of that, the momentum is going to be there. So that's number five. Number six on our list is continued reallocation of skill sets and their impact on business processes. Now, because of the AI, the workflows are going to change, the business processes are going to change, and because of that, you are going to see a lot more changes in the enterprise software categories as well, and the skill sets need to change as well. And based on those skill set changes, you might have further impact on the business processes as well as architecture. So that is going to drive the entire enterprise software categories, enterprise architecture, as well as how these software are going to be consumed, implemented, adopted. So that's going to be the number six trend. Number seven on our list is geopolitical impact on business processes. Now, overall, the geopolitical impact is still there because of two active wars. We don't know how the situation is going to be in other geographies. There is a possibility that there might be more wars that might start. There is a possibility that these active wars might stop because of the new administration. But then you are also going to have an impact because of the tariffs, depending upon how each of the countries are going to react because of those tariffs, and that is going to drive market uncertainty. And when you are going to have the market uncertainty, the companies are not going to feel as confident with these long-term investment unless the market is completely stabilized and they have complete confidence that they are going to get revenue in the future quarters, future months. So that is the geopolitical impact. And there is another factor related to this trend is going to be that because of all of these changes, there are going to be a lot of regulatory changes that you are going to see, whether it's going to be based on the information currency, etc. So that is going to be a trend for 2025, and that's number 7. Now, number 8 on our list is more disruptions caused by software supply chain and cybersecurity issues. And this is the trend that we have seen in 2024 as well. Traditionally, software supply chain was not considered to be as serious, causing disruptions just like your physical supply chain. But things have changed a little bit based on the CrowdStrike incident. Now, governments and the companies are realizing that the software supply chain could have similar risk or even more because of AI, because AI is going to make the software supply chain far more vulnerable just because of the processing power, just because of the kind of capabilities that AI has. Because of that, you are going to see a lot more incidents, just like CrowdStrike. So that's going to be another theme that we are going to see in 2025. Also, the other factor that we have related to this trend is going to be that traditionally, if you look at any of these cybersecurity incidents, for the most part, the hackers targeted the larger customers, the larger companies, just because they wanted to create the maximum amount of impact based on the activities that they were performing. But now, because of AI, smaller companies might be the target as well. So that's going to be another theme that we are going to see in 2025, and that's number 8. Number 9 on our list is collaborative partnerships and continued acquisition of networks producing data. And this is the theme that we had seen in 2024 as well. So that is going to continue in 2025. And this is going to be around AI. Number one, the AI needs a lot of data. And that's why we have seen some of the collaboration happening even among rivals, just because each of them are going to have some data set, and if you want AI to be effective, then that data set need to be complete, and that's how these companies are going to have power, and that's why we are seeing that collaboration. Now, overall, in 2022, 23, 24, we have seen the overarching theme of the industrial supply chain suite, such as if you look at E2 Opens of the world, Blue Yonders of the world, they have been trying to acquire a lot of companies that are producing data, because for the external supply chain or the joint planning to be effective, you need a lot of data. So we are going to see a lot more of these partnerships. One significant acquisition that we saw in 2024 was Blue Yonder acquiring One Network Enterprise. And as such, if you look at any of the networks or the data vendors, there are not very many in the market, and that's why these larger vendors, they are trying to acquire all of these companies, and there are only so many companies in the market that are going to have the complete presence from the external supply chain perspective. So we are going to see this trend, and that's number 9. Number 10 on our list is no more breakup of the large corporations, as well as the antitrust laws blocking any sort of large deals. So previous administration, US administration, was not very friendly with the larger deals. They wanted to break these companies, but I think the new administration is going to be far friendlier. So you will not see as many breakups. In fact, you are probably going to see a lot more consolidation, and that is going to drive the enterprise software market. There's going to be a lot more overlap in general in the enterprise software categories, and that is going to have impact on your enterprise architecture, and that might make your life difficult if you are going to be procuring these software categories in defining the architecture and getting the business value from these categories. So that's number 10. Number 11 on our list is continued digital transformation failures and focus on enterprise architecture. So, one of the themes that we have from the cloud adoption perspective is now ERP is no longer just the ERP. They are trying to sell the entire enterprise architecture. You have substantial components that are wired together as part of the suite, and they all are trying to sell the suites. And based on the consolidation, based on the acquisition activities, enterprise software vendors are going to procure more capabilities. The reason why they are doing is that because they are trying to increase their deal size, but because of that, you are going to see a lot more overlap in general. Everybody is trying to acquire every single capabilities in the market, and because of that, your life is going to be much harder. And with cloud, the systems are far more constrained in general, so you need to have far more clarity in terms of which system is going to do what and what is going to be the master data governance across those systems. And you need to have far deeper enterprise architecture capabilities. Otherwise, we are going to see a lot more failures in general. We saw that in 2024, and in 2025, that is going to continue as well. So that's number 11. Now, number 12 on our list is energy efficient algorithms and computing. This trend is more related to the AI capabilities. If you look at the overarching trend from the AI perspective, the algorithms that they have, they are not necessarily energy efficient as they would like, and they are bottlenecking their capabilities overall from the energy perspective. They need a lot more energy, and because of that, they are not able to make as much progress as investors would like from the capabilities perspective. So there are two or three different drivers that are going to be relevant around this. Number one, there's going to be a push for making these algorithms far more energy efficient, and because of that, you are going to see a lot more power with the algorithms and the capabilities of the generative AI, ChatGPT, etc. The other factor that you have is this particular trend is also going to drive the energy, the data center market, and that is going to drive the some portion of the economy as well based on that. So you are going to have a lot of push because of that too, and because of that, you are going to see a lot more newer business models, newer business categories, etc. So that's number 12. Number 13 on our list is revised processes for sustainability and e-invoicing. And sustainability and e-invoicing is going to be a continued trend. Even in 2025, the administration may have different take on ESG initiatives. In general, they are probably going to reduce the overhead for companies based on ESG. So now that is going to change the reporting structure, etc., and that might drive the impact on the software categories. Initially, the software vendors were developing these capabilities, but now those capabilities might not be as relevant. The same thing goes for e-invoicing as well. As governments are learning and maximizing their own tax revenue, you are going to see a lot more changes. Right now, if you analyze the developing economies, and they are far more restrictive in terms of how they want to implement the e-invoicing workflows, but because of that, they have increased the admin overhead substantially. So once they learn how they can make the businesses more efficient, they might make some changes in those reporting processes, and that is going to have impact on the enterprise software categories, enterprise architecture, that might have impact on your business processes as well. So that's number 13. Now, number 14 on our list is omni-channel collaborative experience as well as operational intelligence platform. If you analyze some of the omni-channel capabilities, for example, let's say headless, that was very hot in 2022, 2023, but now that has sort of come down. It has become more of the enterprise play for the headless capabilities. But with AI, you are going to see a lot more scenarios for personalization, and that is probably going to drive a lot more experience from the omni-channel perspective. So because of AI, the headless technologies might become hotter, but right now because of AI, they are sort of overshadowed. They are not as hot as they used to be in 2023, 2000. The other theme that we have as part of this trend is the collaborative experience. And the collaborative experience is going to be with the newer categories. For example, let's say if you analyze the newer categories of software, and some of them are born because of the advancements in the database technologies. For example, Monday.com, the Smartsheet, Airtable, Notion, these are some of the categories that are driving the collaborative experience. Now that collaborative experience is possible, and primarily because of these object-based databases and the kind of things that they are able to do. Now, we are seeing these trends in the ERP and CRM categories as well. For example, let's say if you pay attention to software companies such as your ATO, and they are making the CRM category far more flexible, far more collaborative. The way these companies have changed the software space, from the collaborative perspective. So we are going to see a lot more changes in the ERP CRM category, based on this collaborative experience, depending upon how reliable these technologies are going to be. These companies are still very small. They are funded by very large investors. So we are going to see a lot more momentum in this particular space. We don't know at this point of time how fast they are going to be adopted by the CRM vendors or the ERP vendors, but that is something to keep in mind. This trend is going to be relevant in 2025 as well. The third layer that we have as part of this trend is the operational intelligence platform. Right now, if you look at companies such as your Palantir, they are primarily the enterprise play. For the most part, enterprise companies, governments, they are able to utilize a lot more intelligence based on these operational intelligence platform. For the most part, traditionally, these workloads were implemented by the custom development, custom technologies. They were very expensive, very disruptive. You had a lot more digital transformation failure because of that. But now, that technology is making it possible to draw insights, from the data perspective. They have scenarios such as now the security workflows that you had in your ERP or transactional workflows. Now that is becoming more common in the data workspaces as well. So you are going to see a lot more adoption even in the mid market. So that's going to be the operational intelligence platforms. So that's number 14. Number 15 on our list is race to quantum technologies. And the quantum technologies, they might not have as much commercial relevance at this point of time because that is going to be more in the R&D phase, but that is probably going to become more relevant in next 5-10 years. We don't know at this point of time how soon that is going to be there in the market with commercial applications, but the government around the world, they are investing a lot more in quantum technology. So now that research may be expedited a little bit more than what we had seen in the past. So overall, one of the reasons why the quantum technologies are becoming harder is because of the AI. And AI is going to need a lot more processing power. In general, it is bottlenecked by the energy technologies as well as the processing capacity that we have. So that's why the quantum is hard. Right now, the challenges that we have in the quantum space, number one, their accuracy is not as much. And then you are also going to have some of the challenges such as the traditional cryptography that we had in the market. Now that is probably going to break. So the companies or the government need to do a lot more research to make sure that this is not going to break if they adopt these technologies commercially. So that's where they are spending their energy. Again, the quantum technologies are not going to be as relevant commercially at this point of time, but you are going to see a lot more research. So if you are investing in any of the quantum technologies, or you want to assess, okay, what's going to come in next 4 or 5 years, you should be paying attention to this research as well. So that's number 15. And that's it for the trends. If you enjoyed this video, we are also going to include a detailed article that is going to have much deeper insights. So you might want to check that. And then finally, we publish these trends and a lot more to prepare for your digital transformation journey as part of our digital transformation report that is already ready. So you might want to scan the QR code that has been incorporated as part of this video. So check that out. It's going to have much more detail about these trends. We publish these videos on a weekly basis. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, you might want to do that so you don't miss out on any of the research or the videos that we are publishing. Also, this podcast is available in the audio format on your favorite podcasting platforms. So check those channels out as well if that is your preferred platform. On that note, thank you so much everyone for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.